Shabbat Shalom and greetings to you all. Well, hasn't this been a rather insane week? Is it just me or is the world gone nuts? Everyone needs to take a deep breath and relax. Let us turn the hate to love, and if you cannot love, then at least accept. In acceptance, you'll find peace. Now, this is a big reading this week. Of course, the three so far have all been huge, but this one contains the essential reading in Judaism, and we will get to it. Without it really being pointed out, though, we see the origin of our three little prayers said every week during the Sabbath. Abraham plays the ultimate host to the three guests. Maybe three angels. Maybe God and two angels. You know, no one is really sure. And no one is really sure about a lot of the early Bible writings. Anyhow, Abraham promises modestly a little water and a morsel of bread. And that's what we do when we come together to celebrate, whether it's the end of the week or the accompaniment of beautiful strangers coming for a visit. So come, my friends, let's celebrate now. As we gather every week and come together as a community, a like-minded, like-souled unification of spirit, the collective consciousness of seekers coming together in a showing of faith, of love, a chavura, a community, a fellowship, expressing our nature of kindness, compassion, thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes that unites us all in this community house of spirit, Beth Ruach. So once again, please do go ahead and invite everybody you know, physically, psychically, emotionally, or spiritually, to gather and share from Psalm 133, the Hinei Matov. Come together. Hinei Matov. Shevet Ahi Gam Yah. Hinei Matov. Shevet Ahi Gam Yah. How good, how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community, 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 together. Because that's what it is, my friends. As a community, let's all spread love, goodwill, and fellowship to the world, and let's do it together. And every week we gather to show gratitude and give thanks for the things we have. As we ritualize, we light our candles, share a cup of wine, a piece of bread, the things we see Abraham proffer, and which represents the gift of life and sustenance and fellowship that we really observe daily, but especially honor every week in our Sabbath remembrance and observation. Now remember, friends, this is your setting aside just a little bit of sacred time in your sacred space to talk to whoever, whatever you happen to believe in. It's part of your kavanah, your intention, your goodwill. So let's send out some of that goodwill to the universe now. Let's invoke healing and renewal for everybody you know, for the souls and spirits of everybody you know. Think of whoever that needs healing, renewal, and love, or just goodwill. Focus on them. Call their names. It's not just for people. It's for our pets. It's for the earth. It is the healing of the earth, the tikkun olam, that's part of our spiritual genetic makeup. Let's take an extra few minutes to think of and pray for those in need of health and renewal. For dear Bob, for Ben, for Veronica, Diane, for Americo, and dear Fern, a victim of a terrible accident. It could take months for her to heal. So let's send a little bit of extra love and renewal her way. And for the wonderful Rosemarie, a beautiful soul who cares about everyone, who always takes care first of those around her. Friends, it is the kindness, healing, wishes, goodwill, and love we all send out. It circles the world finding those in need. So thank you, each of you, for all you do, for all you care. Because the world is a world of spirit. And spirit, my friends, never dies. Me. Avotenu Makor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage, make our lives a blessing, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen. Misha Barak, let us all have our spirits renewed wherever we are. This is the great prayer for healing, in which we call upon God to heal as He is healed before. Misha Barak. May He who blessed. Let's all send and receive healing and renewal energy and blessings in our efforts to love, to share, to care, to grow, to unite together, all of us. See, my friends, it's not just we alone who are connected. All things pour forth their souls. the heavens, the earth, every creature, every living thing, and even every grain of sand. Well, we all have a relationship with God, or whatever you happen to believe in. We all believe in something. Now, this week we read the Great Annunciation. Last week we had a little mini Annunciation. Now we read the reading we return to every High Holy Day, every New Year. We remind ourselves of our destiny when we read the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, contained in this week's reading, Vayera, and he appeared. Well, confusion reigns. Right away it begins. And the Lord appeared to him. But then we find out there were three people. Genesis 18:2. And he raised his eyes and saw. And here were three people standing over him. Okay, so who was Abraham talking to? God? Angels? It's still the God of Genesis, one who socializes a little bit more than the God of Exodus. So we have to understand there's a little bit more interaction than there will be later when only Moses will communicate with God. And not for that long, actually. See, it is confusing. But only so long as we imagine angels as being beings who are independent or separate from God. These texts indicate that angels are conceived of here as expressions of God's presence. Okay? Now, the consistent biblical conception of God is that God cannot possibly be seen by a human. A human will not see me and live, Exodus 33. And cannot possibly contained in any known space. The heavens will not contain you. But an angel, well, that's an identifiable thing itself. And in some ways, it's merely a representation of divine presence in human affairs. And this week, my friends, is a week of angels. You, angel, you got me under your wing. The way you walk and the way you talk, I feel I could almost sing. You know I can't sleep at night for trying. Yes, I never did feel this way before. Never did get up and walk the floor. If this is love, give me more and more and more and more. Well, who doesn't love angels? Don't we all now associate that an angel is love? You know, it's almost like cherubim. Today we think of the cute, cuddly little angelic beings, but when we read of them, well, they were fierce, hybrid beasts, keeping man from the garden and guarding the ark. Today we think of angels as messengers bringing love into our lives, but these biblical angels were simply messengers. The biblical Hebrew, malach, translated into the Greek, angelos, which means messenger. Now, we've made it angel, and therefore we've given it divinity and miraculous power. Well, these messengers' fingerprints are all over this week's Parsha. Now, last week we found out that Sarah was actually Abraham's sister. This week, Abraham confirms it, Genesis 20:12. In point of fact, she is my sister, my father's daughter, though not my mother's daughter. She became my wife. Now, that's kind of awkward given the rules for marriage what the Torah provides. This week, the 90-year-old woman will have a baby. Talk about miracles. Well, these messengers are there first and foremost for the Great Annunciation, which is something that's got to be evidenced by the fact of barrenness, the promise of a son by God or angel or holy man, and the fulfillment of the promise in conception and birth. Well, we're 3 for 3 this week. Genesis 18:10. And he said, I shall come back to you at the time of life, and here Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Genesis 21:1. And the Lord singled out Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. And Sarah conceived and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the set time that God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, who Sarah bore him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised Isaac his son when he was 8 days old, as God had charged him. And Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac his son was born to him. Wow. Well, in this Parsha, we could talk about the miracle of birth. Sarah states she's old, she's shriveled, and her husband is old, so how can she get any pleasure? Now, what a statement that is. We could talk about the haggling, the ultimate destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, the great bargaining in Genesis 18:20. And the Lord said, The cry of Sodom and Gomorrah, how great it is, and their sin, how very heavy it is. And Abraham came over and said, will you also annihilate the virtuous with the wicked? Maybe there are 50 virtuous people within the city. Will you also annihilate and not sustain the place for the 50 virtuous who are in it? The great haggling over how many righteous it takes. Well, my friends, how many does it take? How many years can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? And how many times can a man turn his head, pretending he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Well, we all know Sodom and Gomorrah ain't going to be saved. That fire and brimstone will rain down upon it. And that Abraham can argue, and he argues down in fives. We destroyed for 45, for 40, for 35. So contained within the story, we have this amazing piece with all that. And then we also get this incredible offer that Lot makes. He's prepared to give his daughters up to the angry mob to be raped. Genesis 19:8. I have 2 daughters who've known no man. Let me bring them out to you. Do to them whatever you want. I don't know how well that would go over today. And if we did not want to talk about any of those things, we could talk about Lot's wife looking back after being told not to. Don't look behind you and don't stop anywhere, in order not to turn into a pillar of salt. And his wife looked back and she became a pillar of salt. And this is the warning in our lives, my friends, not to look back, not to hold on to the past. But we do. And for those who have salt with their challah and Shabbat, salt is the reminder of this episode to not look back. Or maybe we could talk about how Lot's daughters got him drunk and had sex with him and became pregnant. Our father's old. There's no man on earth to come to bed with us like the way all the earth. Come, let's give our father wine to drink and let us lie with him so that we may keep alive seed from our father. And the 2 daughters of Lot conceived by their father. Look at these choices. We could talk about any and all of these for weeks. And of course, we could also talk about the sacrifice or ordered sacrifice of Isaac, the most significant reading of Judaism, the great Akedah, Genesis 22:1. And it happened after these things that God tested Abraham. And he said to him, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. And he said, take, pray, your son, your only one, whom you love, Isaac, and go forth to the land of Moriah and offer him up as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I shall say to you. Now, interestingly enough, Rashi fills in this one-sided conversation, and Rashi's concise version is as follows. Your son. He said to him, I have 2 sons. He said to him, your only one. He said, this one is an only one to his mother, and this one is an only one to his mother. He said to him, whom you love. He said to him, I love both of them. He said to him, Isaac. Friends, you're not supposed to be so obvious in favoritism, and we wonder why there's sibling rivalry. Well, we're now in the heart of the most incredible father and son dynamic in history. We talk about the tests of Abraham, and our sages say he underwent 10 tests of faith. But you know what? Perhaps he was not a man of faith. Read his whole story, and he constantly asked God, how shall I know? Right now, his descendants do the same. Deal makers with the Lord. Noah was a man of faith. Moses became a man of faith. And I only know 2 people who are people of faith in this life and who do not question. Abraham was an order taker. He argued about the destruction of Sodom, but not about the killing of his own son. He was told, and he did. Now, I'm not sure about Isaac. We know the least about him, and I suspect he was a man of faith. He had God's fingerprint on his whole life. He is different from everybody else in the Bible. From birth to name, to his not being allowed to leave his home ever. to his living where the infant Ishmael found life in the desert. All of these amazing episodes would make for a great discussion. And they all have common characters involved: a messenger, an angel. We are witnessing divine beginnings. See, Sarah begins to worry that Ishmael will inherit over Isaac, and she orders Abraham to send Hagar and Ishmael away. Drive this maid out and her son, because the son of this maid will not inherit with my son, with Isaac. Well, she's more than a maid. She's actually Abraham's wife. Now, we read this story every year. And when the water in the skin was gone, she flung the child under one of the bushes and went off and sat down at a distance. A bow shot away, for she thought, let me not see when the child dies. He's 13. But an angel saves the day. I sometimes wonder if Sarah's karma comes back when Abraham is ordered to sacrifice Isaac. She got rid of the threat to Isaac, not knowing Isaac is going to be sacrificed. And when Abraham does take Isaac to the mountain, his action is stopped, and the Lord's messenger called out to him from the heavens. Well, this is nearly identical with the calling out to Hagar a few verses earlier. In fact, a whole configuration of parallels between the two stories is actually invoked here. Each of Abraham's sons is threatened with death in the wilderness, one in the presence of his mother, the other in the presence and by the hand of his father. In each case, an angel intervenes at the critical moment. Now, notice at least twice in this section, we have this magical formula, this double name calling, Abraham, Abraham, and the reply, here I am. We saw it before when he was told to take Isaac, and it happens again now when he's about to sacrifice Isaac. This appears to be a mark of divine communication at significant moments in the biblical narrative. Now, what stands out about Abraham is that it comes here in the Akedah rather than the first time that God speaks to him. This marks the near sacrifice as the defining event in Abraham's life and in the destiny of his descendants. Isaac's life is forever marked by this one event. Yes, my friends, the world is sacred, and so is everything in it. Express your gratitude. Light a candle, make a wish, celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, and be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. So let's send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, goodwill, healing to all who need it, and please do learn to forgive, learn to love, especially yourself. Open your hearts, honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have. We take the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our efforts to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. Now, bless you all. Have a fantastic week, a week of love and light, a week of peace, a week of miracles. Examine your intentions and use them to imprint your will on the universe. Remember, we set in motion everything that happens in our lives. Our intention, our kavana, our cause, our effect, everything is linked. As I've said, you always have time to forgive and to be forgiven. You have the knowledge of what is good and bad, so acknowledge what you've done wrong to yourself, to God, and to any person you've wronged. Then ask forgiveness. Do so with sincerity, accountability, vulnerability. Forgive those who've hurt you as you learn to be forgiving and be compassionate. The secret of forgiveness, compassion, and peace, my friends, is in acceptance. Can you accept yourself, other people, the world, just as it is? Can you accept life just as it is without trying to control it? If you do, you can experience the peace that acceptance brings. So do not stop your journey. We're all moving towards our own promised land. It's your home. So keep on dreaming, keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching. Keep spreading joy and goodwill. Do not follow fear, follow love. It's always there in front of you. And remember to have faith, an unwavering adherence to principle, just as I have faith in the principle of love and all of you. Act with purity of heart and mind. Despise none, defraud none, hate none. Cherish all. Honor every child of God, every creature of the earth. May all people know peace this year. May you nurture kindness and love everywhere. Work to be present in the body. Expand the heart, quiet the mind, because the deepest source of real power lies in consciousness and the ability to be mindful, aware, present in all of life's circumstances. Now make the most of your time in this life. Continue to touch and transform the lives around you. You're never alone. You're forever blessed and have the ability to bring blessings to everybody you meet. Health, love, renewal to everybody you come across. We're all energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Your words are your power to transform, to love, to bless. So be generous with them. Bless others and bless yourself. And love with the heart. We're all part of a greater whole. Embrace love, not fear, forgiveness, not anger. Be there for someone, because someone will always be there for you, whether you know it or not. And continue to explore faith and belief. And do not accept shame as any kind of a natural state. Whatever you feel, others have felt. Whatever you've experienced, others have too. We share together, we learn together, we help each other. We are each of us trying to find love and acceptance and support. We all have or could have that special someone in our lives, so find them. Tell them what they mean, and remember, you're never alone on your journey to your promised land. Watch your words. They can hurt you, they can heal you, they imprison you, and they free you. Keep forgiving those you need to forgive, and keep asking forgiveness from those you need to ask forgiveness of. And remember, we are all one. We all have angels in our lives, and they come to us when we need them the most. And they know before we tend to know. Precious angel, under the sun, how was I to know you'd be the one to show me I was blinded, to show me I was gone? How weak was the foundation I was standing upon. Now the spiritual warfare and flesh and blood breaking down. You either gotta have faith or you got unbelief, and there ain't no neutral ground. The enemy is subtle, howbeit we are so deceived when the truth is in our hearts and we still don't believe. Shine your light on me. Shine your light on me. Shine your light on me. You know, I just couldn't make it by myself. I'm a little too blind to see. You know what, my friends? Shine your light. Open your eyes, see the miracles all around you, and don't wait for your name to be called twice. Shabbat shalom and blessings to you all. Take care. We'll see you again soon next week.